Hey, Vinyl community, how's it going? Hope everybody is doing well. So today, wanted to jump on a thread started by my good buddy JC at the Flipside Vinyl. He started a thread today about 10 live albums he would like to see released. Okay, so it's not technically a thread, it's a contest. It's a contest to celebrate his 5,000 subscribers. No, it's not that either. It's just Josh made a video this morning, and excellent video. Enjoyed it. Great idea. Such a great idea. I wanted to jump on it, but he did a video of 10 live albums that he would like to see released. So I wanted to take that idea because if it's good enough for Josh, Josh has about 2,000 more subscribers than I do. Maybe I can capture that lightning in a bottle by copying the video. And that's not the reason I'm doing it. I thought it was a cool idea, so I wanted to go ahead and do my own version of that video. Josh and I have some similar styles, but not entirely, so my list is going to reflect a little bit more classic rock, if you will. But my number 10, I want a live album from the Use Your Illusion tour, and it's going to be a double album. The first album is going to be purely crowd noise as they're waiting for Guns N' Roses to come out on stage. And as the record goes on, like by the end of side A, the crowd is getting like a little more agitated. Like, okay, this concert was supposed to start 45 minutes ago, and then you put on side 2. Now the crowd's getting like really angry. They're getting belligerent. It's like, come on, and now it's like an hour and a half. This concert was supposed to start an hour and a half ago. Where the fuck is Axl Rose? And that, like, the entire first album is just crowd noise. And it sort of gives you an idea of what it was like back in the day when you were going to go see Guns N' Roses. You had no idea. The show was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. The band goes on at like 11:30, and people are getting angrier and angrier. And so that's like the feel you get. It's like a immersive experience. So the entire first album is just nothing. It's just crowd noise as they're waiting for the band to come on. And then the second disc is an actual live album of the concert. Maybe you have some booing at the beginning, people who are disgruntled because they had to wait so long. Maybe they're throwing some shit at the stage. Maybe even the concert where Axl kind of loses his shit a little bit and walks off. I don't know. But I just think, you know, there needs to be a double album, GNR live album from the Use Your Illusion tour. I got some, if you're curious, some Founders Centennial Ale here that's going to help me get through this video. And maybe the second album, like it's halfway through side 3 where the band comes on, just because, you know, Axl, he's banging chicks backstage, or he's walking up to the 7-Eleven to buy some cigs or whatever he's doing when he should be walking out on stage. I don't know, but anyway, that's my number 10. Number 9, I want the concert of the Doors, 1969 Miami concert at the Dinner Key Auditorium with Jim Morrison going on stage and just ranting and sounding like a lunatic, trying to drum up the crowd, trying to get them all agitated and get the crowd kind of worked up, kind of pushing the crowd's buttons a little bit. If you've heard some of that, the Doors box set that came out, I don't know, like 15 years ago or whatever, on the first disc, the first track is 5 to 1, but it's got kind of Jim inciting the crowd. He sounds drunk. That's a concert where allegedly he exposed himself, but I think we know in hindsight he didn't really. It was all kind of blown out of proportion. But it'd be very cool to have a live album of that entire concert where right in the middle of the song, he's just kind of trailing off and either ending the song or starting again to, go on one of Jim's classic rants. But I think it'd be cool to have that live album in its entirety. Number 8 album, I would love to have The Who, their performance at the Cow Palace from California in 1973. That was on the Quadrophenia tour. And Keith Moon, what happened during that concert is someone had given him some horse tranquilizers, apparently, and he mixed it with alcohol or whatever other drugs he had backstage, and he totally passed out, became unconscious behind the drum kit. The Who had to make an announcement. There's clips of it probably on YouTube where Pete Townsend is like, is there anybody out in the audience who is a drummer? And they bring this guy on stage and he has to finish the concert out. I think that'd be a great concert to have a live vinyl copy of. And that was back in the 70s. I mean, in all fairness to Keith Moon, back in the 70s, people would hand you handfuls of pills. You had no idea what they were. You just took them. I mean, that's what you did back in the 70s. You'd go to a party, people would hand you like a Ziploc bag full of orange, green, and purple pills. And you didn't ask any questions. You were just like, great. And you're just like popping pills. Go, 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 go. More pills. Go, 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 go. And then, an hour later, either they were great or you were face down in a pool of your own vomit and piss, and you woke up the next morning and your head was shaved, or you were in the subway disoriented, or you'd fallen asleep, in a gutter somewhere. But it was the 70s and the times were different back then. But I'm just saying, don't judge Keith Moon too harshly for what happened in that particular concert. But it'd still be very cool to have a live document of that. Number 7, can we get a live album of Van Halen from their tour with Black Sabbath in 1978? Black Sabbath's Never Say Die tour. Basically the tour where Van Halen blew Black Sabbath off the stage, and they wouldn't tour again with that lineup for many, many, many years, until I think it was the 90s and their Last Supper tour or whatever that was. But it'd be very cool to have like that early live Van Halen. And I don't know if there's any decent quality tapes of that anyway, but it would be very cool if we get a live album, even if the quality is shit, even if some of the songs are not complete or whatever. Just to have that would be a very cool document. Number 6, I would love to have anything live by Nick Drake in the late 1960s. And I don't imagine that very much of it exists. Maybe him playing a couple songs at a coffee house. There really isn't any live document of Nick Drake. He didn't play live that often. He played a little bit early in his career, but he had stage fright so bad that his live appearances were very few and far between, and I don't know that any of them were recorded. But if there exists any tapes of that, I would love to have a live album of Nick Drake playing live, because I wonder, did he play the songs the way they sounded on the record? Did he mix it up at all? Did he do any in-between songs, banter, or was he just kind of, let's do my set list and get the hell off the stage? So it would be interesting. I'm probably one of about 80 people in the VC who give a shit about Nick Drake. But for me, this is my list. I would love to have that. Number 5, John Lennon, Madison Square Garden, the 1-to-1 concert on August 30th, 1972. Now, we do have the Live in New York City album. However, that was the afternoon performance. He gave 2 performances that day with the Elephant's Memory Band. We only have the afternoon performance, which, according to the members of Elephant's Memory, was the inferior of the 2 performances. Apparently, the evening show was much better. The band were looser. John played better. Yoko apparently was in better voice in the evening show. And it'd be very cool to have that other concert, like a record store day. Can you imagine how quickly those albums would fly off the shelf if they actually pressed, a companion piece to the original live in New York City? I don't think the set list varied that much, but it would still be very cool to compare the two. I've not heard I think there might be from the anthology, John Lennon anthology, that came out, like a few tracks from it, but it'd be nice to have the concert in its entirety. Number 4, and this might be a little controversial, but let's get a live album of the Rolling Stones at Altamonte, like the full concert. We could have like a box set and have like the Jefferson Airplane. I don't know if the Grateful Dead played or not, but just like the bands. I think Crosby, Stills, and Nash play Altamont. I don't remember exactly, but people think it was just a Rolling Stones concert, but no, there was like a bunch of bands that played before the Rolling Stones even came on. But that would be kind of cool to have. And, Mick Jagger's brothers and sisters, cool out, brothers. Like half hour of that in between songs. He's trying to get the Hells Angel to stop beating the shit out of people in the crowd, which, in retrospect, it's sort of like, oh, well, that's kind of funny. But at the time, I'm sure it was terrifying to have actually been there as that whole shit show was going down. So you can call it Gimme Shelter. I don't care what soundtrack to Gimme Shelter, whatever it is. But let's get a live album of it. Okay, we know what it is. Enough time has passed. Let's just have it as a documented, official document of the Altamont concert. All right, number 3. Why is there not a Boston live? I'm talking about the band Boston. Why do we not have any live album from the tour that they did for their debut album or Don't Look Back? I mean, there's got to be tapes somewhere. You're going to tell me nobody taped Boston on either of their first 2 tours? Can we get a Boston? I'd love to hear how they sounded live. I got to imagine it was amazing. I can't believe that we don't have any live stuff from early Boston. I don't know that there's any Boston live album. Probably there aren't enough Boston fans who are clamoring for it. I don't know that there's a huge Boston, fan community, but I would love to have that. Wouldn't you? Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, oh, Boston, whatever. But for me, I think it'd be pretty cool. All right, number 2. Can we get a live album, make it a double live album of Kiss at their peak, after, say, the Dress to Kill album, on the Dress to Kill tour, just so we could hear what Kiss was like in their prime. A lean and hungry young band. They know they've had 3 albums that have met with lukewarm to indifference, and they know, like, we got to kick ass on this tour. Can we get like a double live album of Kiss just playing songs from their first 3 albums when they weren't extremely huge? But I think an album like that would be phenomenal to hear them. I don't know if there's any tapes, or if the tapes are old, you might have to doctor them a little bit in the studio. I'd be okay with that, just to preserve it as a piece of history. But I think that would be phenomenal. I love to see that. I would buy it, whether it's Record Store Day or Friday Music or whatever. However we get it, I think that would be super cool. And the number 1 live album I would like to have would be an album from, I mentioned Humble Pie in my video earlier today, but the guitarist from Humble Pie, who is extremely underrated, his name was Peter Frampton. And he left Humble Pie and came out with a couple of solo albums in the mid-'70s. And it would be very cool, just because he was such a great guitarist, if we could have some kind of live document from him mid-late 70s, performing some of his hits off his solo albums, doing a little extended soloing. People are all about, oh, Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton was the 70s preeminent guitar. No. people don't talk enough about Peter Frampton, and the problem was that he never had a great representative live album. I think he'd have enough with his extended solos and the amount of songs that he had on those early solo albums. He could have a double live album easily, but I would love to see that. Color vinyl or black, it doesn't matter, but let's get the word out about Peter Frampton and how great he was live. You hear all the stories. Peter Frampton was amazing. People who were there back in the day who saw his shows were like, Peter Frampton was the shit. And if you never saw Peter Frampton live, you are missing out. But somebody had to have recorded some of those concerts. I'm sure there's enough for a double live album, but that would be amazing. Peter Frampton would go down in the annals of history as one of the greatest guitarists ever. Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it, whoever is responsible. I don't know what record label he was on, but it'd be very cool is all I'm saying. So anyway, that is my list. Not as great as or compelling as JC's probably, but whatever. That's my list. You asked for it. I asked for it. I wrote it. Here it is. Okay. So anyway, cheers, VC. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see any of these live albums or if there's any you would like to see. And go check out JC's video if you haven't already. It's a lot cooler than mine is. All right. Take care.